Mic check 1 2, it's the Y2K collector, and GameStop is price matching, but not in a good way. So I've recently ran into some top dollar PS3 games this summer, including Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, Silent Hill Downpour, Spider-Man Web of Shadows, and X-Men Wolverine Uncaged Edition, or the X-Men Origins game. And one of the things that I noticed throughout the summer, something that started at the beginning of the summer and has been carrying out all the way through to the end, is that a lot of these games, the prices have slowly but surely changed as the summer has progressed. And I noticed that they weren't necessarily going down, but a lot of these games were going up. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of these games are quite expensive on the PlayStation 3, with Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions landing somewhere between 80 and $100, Silent Hill Downpour resting somewhere between 50 and $70, Spider-Man Web of Shadows comfortably sitting somewhere around $120, and X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged landing somewhere between $170 and $200. So these are all high-priced games that are high in value on the PlayStation 3. But I had never really known GameStop to make price changes that quickly. So I recently went into one of my local GameStops the other day and asked the representative if GameStop was in fact changing the prices of their games. And the worker at the store pretty much told me that, yeah, GameStop has been increasing the prices of their games to kind of somewhat match what the going rate for the game is. And I didn't get too detailed with the worker at the store because it was busy, it was hot in there. But one of the questions that came to my mind was, well, what is GameStop using to determine the value or the price of these games? What measuring stick is GameStop using to say, okay, this game should be increased by $20, this game should be increased by $100, so on and so forth? I was pretty intrigued to know. And there could only be a few things that GameStop, or a few ways that GameStop could be increasing the prices on these games. One of the ways that they could be doing it is they could be looking at sold comps on sites like eBay or Mercari, or if they're just looking for a more straightforward approach to figuring out the value of these games, they're more than likely just looking at what the price charting values for these games are. Which, I mean, if GameStop is going to do that, and if they're going to start to increase the value of their games, does that then validate the inflated prices that people are charging for some of these games? Is GameStop in a way kind of validating that? Now, I mentioned this in one of my prior videos where I spoke about, GameStop changing the prices. And someone in my comment section had said that they had never seen GameStop price a game over $100. Well, guess what? I was on GameStop's website yesterday looking for some GameCube games, and I saw where they had Pokemon Gale of Darkness priced at $104. They had Pokemon Coliseum priced at, I think, $106 or a little bit more. So it's clear that GameStop is willing to break the $100 mark and price their games pretty high if they feel like it's warranted. Another game that I saw GameStop had priced pretty high when I checked their website was I saw that they had a copy of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance listed on their website for, I think, like $129. Now, for those of you who don't know, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance goes for somewhere between $200 and $225, I think, at this point. I don't know if it goes for more. This is a copy that I wound up getting on a trade. This is back in my trading days when I was going to retro game stores to trade in games, and they had this copy of Fire Emblem, so I went ahead and grabbed it. And the only reason why I picked this game up, because I'm not a huge RPG guy, but the only reason why I picked this game up was for that guy right there, Ike. Ike is a character that I've been using since Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I was a huge fan of the Ike character. I got really good with Ike, and I won a few tournaments with Ike. And because I use him so much in Smash, I said, you know what, might as well just get the game and see if he's as dominant in the RPG as he is in Smash, with those hard-hitting sword attacks. But all that being said, yeah, so GameStop is now in the price charting, price matching business. And it kind of sucks because that was what was making GameStop somewhat fun to a degree, because it seemed, at least for a little bit, that GameStop hadn't caught up to the inflated prices. But I guess now, since GameStop has decided to fully dive into the retro, the retro business, I guess they're, you know, gonna take more notice of what the prices of these games are going for, and they're going to start to match prices. Now, one thing that I've been seeing floating around, I've seen it in the comments on my channel. I've also seen it under comments of other content creators talking about YouTube's like retro presence. Is, from what I understand, they're creating GameStop retros. So entire GameStop stores that only sell retro games. I don't know if that's legit or not. I don't know how real that is, but someone let me know down in the comments. Is there any credence to this rumor? Now, I know that there are certain stores that GameStop has dubbed like retro game stores, meaning there's stores that are still going to carry modern systems and modern games like PS5, PS4, Switch, stuff like that, but they'll have just a larger section of more retro stuff. And to be quite honest with you, I have yet to walk into a GameStop that has like a hefty selection of Super Nintendo or NES games or Genesis games. I think I've seen that maybe once or twice this summer. And I don't think either store was deemed a GameStop retro store. I think they were just a store that had taken in a bunch of retro games. And in most, if not all cases, those stores were mailing those games either to the warehouse or to an actual store that was designated as a retro store. So I don't know if it's true that GameStop is creating dedicated retro stores where when you walk in, the only things you're gonna see are retro. But if that is the case, that's really interesting, and I'd be really interested to see how that store is set up, especially if they're not gonna be selling any Switch, PS4, or PS5 stuff. That means that that store would have to be stacked with a considerable number of retro games to be able to, successfully run the store. You can't have like 5 retro games in the entire store. On top of that, I'm really interested to see what the aesthetic would look like in a store like that. Are they going to have the old school Super Nintendo kiosks and the old school Genesis kiosks and Dreamcast kiosks? Are they going to have old school PlayStation 2 signage or PlayStation 1 signage? Are they going to have N64 posters and things like that? Are they really going to do it up and really make it a retro store? Or are they just going to throw some PlayStation 1 and some N64 games in there and call it a retro store? I'm really interested to see what this is going to turn into. And I'm also interested to know your thoughts. Let me know down in the comments what you think about GameStop doing this price matching and pricing up their games in real time as the prices go up. It's funny because they never seem to price them down, but they price them up. So let me know what you think about that. And also let me know if this is true. Is GameStop making dedicated retro game stores? I'm interested to know your thoughts. It's the Y2K Collector. I'll catch you in the next one.